There are 1,000 ways to be strong as a man. They don't look like the same PR at the gym. They don't look like the same high-level job. They don't look like the same exact way of appearing, the same exact way of acting. And so we're meeting what is a more broad view on strong, healthy masculinity in this P. I think that's the kind of more meta, I suppose, view of this P, because it helps each individual man to appreciate how am I showing up with strength, but it also is a showcase of masculine strength and confidence in its many different forms, which is kind of pretty badass when it shows up in group.
Well, welcome back to the Men's Collective podcast. I'm here with my co-founder, co-host, Pierre, and we are kind of finishing up this little mini series on the 5 P's of purpose. And again, if you haven't listened to the previous episodes, just go check them out, because these are all kind of building and culminating to this final P of power. And like always, we're going to be kind of opening it up and describing and defining what we mean by power and the role it plays in our DNA here at the Men's Collective. So, Pierre, what is power? How do we define it? What does it really mean? Where is it taking us? Yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it really, I mean, you said it really well. It's the culmination of the areas of our focus before, the stories that we tell about ourselves and where we're going, the beliefs that we hold about ourselves in the world, the values toward which we aspire to act, the ways in which we maintain focus and awareness to our emotion. Power is really in harnessing our strengths to move us in the direction of our goals and our values. And often it starts by essentially defining how we see our own strength, and also inviting other men to share with us and each other what strengths they see in one another, which is, boy, is that pretty unique. I think especially in engaging men one-on-one, it becomes easy to share, particularly in coaching work and also in other mental health domains, to share some strength. But when we engage one-on-one with men, or even in group with men outside of the context of, or in the context of everyday life, there's often, silent competition, one-upmanship, hesitation to share our own vulnerability, because somehow it changes the dynamic, or a hierarchy that doesn't even really exist, or probably shouldn't really exist in important close relationships between men. So it's rare often that we get, or it's rare that we get the opportunity to hear from another man. These are the ways in which I'm seeing you show up with tremendous capability and tremendous skill. So power typically starts with defining our own character strengths and inviting other men to share what they've seen in us and in our strength. It also almost always evolves into a discussion of perhaps the biggest reason men reach out, and that's because they might feel like they've lost some confidence. And so power also touches upon, what does confidence mean for me? And how can I build it in an authentic, in a meaningful way, in a way that doesn't discount my vulnerabilities, or the areas of my, or the areas with which I find challenge in life. In fact, it can celebrate those things, because it can honor the ways in which I've grown in particular domains, or you've grown in particular domains. But it becomes a really pragmatic discussion of what it actually means to have more confidence, to show up more decisively, to feel a little more proud of who I am as a man.
Yeah. And I think this culmination of like coming together what we mean by power, it really is all these different parts that kind of lead into kind of this more integrative whole. And that they all kind of build on each other, that I think need to be understood, explored, build awareness around, and then doing work in, which when you combine them together leads to this sense of the power that we have as men and how we use that, in our lives and our, our families' lives, our community around us, that what kind of impact are we having when we embody all these P's, right? That as when we live like in a sense of grounded purpose, because it's not just about us, right? But it's about something far beyond us. And so in order to have that, we need all these pieces that come together that create something. And I think to some degree, it's unique for each man. There's some of it, there's a collectiveness to it, that there is some agreed and sharedness to all this, but it's also quite unique what each man brings to the table.
Well, yeah, I it speaks to what's been touched on in our past explorations of the other P's, and that is that lots of traditional norms of masculinity can highlight one pretty restricted view on how to be strong as a man, strong, capable, skilled as a man. And that limited scope of masculinity ends up doing us a disservice. Sure, there are some elements of traditional masculine norms that are really positive, that are really healthy, especially when harnessed in ways that are pro-social, that help other people, that support our own welfare and the welfare of people around us. On the other hand, there are 1,000 ways to be strong as a man. They don't look like the same PR at the gym. They don't look like the same high level job. They don't look like the same exact way of appearing, the same exact way of acting. And so we're meeting what is a more broad view on strong, healthy masculinity in this P. I think that's the kind of more meta, I suppose, view of this P, because it helps each individual man to appreciate, how am I showing up with strength? But it also is a showcase of masculine strength and confidence in its many different forms, which is kind of pretty badass when it shows up in group.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is badass when it shows up in group, because you get to see that, you get to really see that unique power that each man brings to the table and the gift that they have, right? I think that we all have a unique gift to offer the world. And when we're able to kind of step into this place, we're able to really, truly, authentically give that gift, which is what the world needs, right? We all need that, and we all benefit from that. I think that's the thing, is it is for this collective, the other, that it improves, it betters, it connects, it heals, so many things, that when we're all operating in that place, it really is powerful, like uniquely powerful. And what I offer is different than what you offer versus we need all the differences to create something, like a tapestry, if you will, of something that is, this, without it would be bland and not strong. It's like if you have a rope with one cord, like it's not going to hold much, man. We need all of us with the differences and how we interwork together to create something really truly strong and stable and grounding,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Final encouragement for, this P. I know it's a shorter one because it really is kind of a culmination of all the work that men are doing as part of the DNA, but important. But I think in order to get here, to really be in this place, we really need to build upon all the other foundational P's, which then kind of encapsulates, living with purpose, living with intention. But so any other final kind of closing, like a challenge or like a word for men that are listening, that would kind of invite them in?
Yeah. Well, even as you said that, it struck me that men who are looking to build confidence will often turn to other men who exude it in some way or pretend to exude it in some way.
Yeah.
Or they may turn to, and I've done this. I mean, I can't just speak in the they. I've turned to strategies to be more confident. Well, you can't really do that, not in a sustainable way, without doing the deeper personal work first. Else it's going to feel like a facade. You're not really going to show up in your most strong, powerful, unique way
Yeah.
that honors your story, honors who you are, how you see the world, what your values are, how you experience emotion in the world around you, how you experience your own degree of focus in a confident way. If what you're doing is just hacks.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate your last comment because it made me think, well, damn, most of us are like, we want more confidence. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But going about it in a way as to sort of extract someone else's confidence is not going to serve us individually as men or the world around us. It's certainly not going to serve the next generation of men.
Yeah.
Boys who are becoming men, or even men who are entering into the final stages of their lives, into retirement, into creating contentment, and being able to look back upon our lives proudly, which I think is one of the biggest and most motivating fuels, or the biggest and most motivating fires for me to keep going. And I think something that we've shared too, I think it's been amazing to see men at different stages of life be able to showcase their strengths, use their strengths, gain confidence, feel fulfilled, pass that on to next generations in the world around them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think that's the beautiful thing with the collective is we really actually get to be part of this, something even for me, something far bigger than me, that I also too I learned so much from just the different phases of life that the men in our collective are in and what they're bringing to the table, because it impacts me. All of it impacts me and you, I know, right? It's and that, like, it speaks to something deep in me as well, that when I see that, it's inspiring, it is motivating, it's challenging, in the best way, right? Because it's calling me to something bigger. Like, I feel that pull, and it's really amazing to see too when it clicks, like, in another guy, when like it clicks for them. And yeah, I do too. It's really it's some of the best part of the work that I think that we do is that when that it clicks and you're like, there it is, and then it's like the shift happens, and there's still work to be done, but like once that shift occurs, it's like there's this different focus of intention. And when they do start to veer, which we talked about, I think, in our couple previous episodes, that because we all can get veered and pulled away, that our veering and getting pulled away is often much less. We often tend to recover more quickly and effectively because we also really know what we're grounded in, right? And so we kind of come back to that kind of drive, those, again, back to our values, back to our principles, our awareness. And so, yeah, I love this work, and I love that we get to see those light bulb moments. And to kind of wrap up, man, if you're inspired by this, if you're listening to this, like, hey, where do I go? How do I learn more? Go to menscollective.co. Again, menscollective.co. For more information about joining the collective and the cohorts. Would love to have you and love to answer any questions you have. You could send us a message and fill out a form, and we'll reach out to you and check in and answer any questions you might have. But I mean, that kind of wraps up the 5 Ps of purpose, and again, which is so foundational of the Men's Collective DNA. And stay tuned for next week and our next topic, where we get to just have so much more fun exploring other topics that we're talking about and going through with the men in the collective. And that's the beautiful thing, is we have ongoing conversations, ongoing training, things that are relevant, things that men are facing. And it's all built upon this kind of foundational work that we kind of laid out here for you. So with that said, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you.